My parents handed over my apartment to my brother's family, and now they're demanding I pay rent while I'm stuck sleeping in a storage room. Hello, everyone. I never thought I'd be sharing something like this, but here I am. A close friend recommended I post this here, and I'd really appreciate an outside perspective. My name's Alex, I'm 26, and I've always felt like the one holding my family together for as long as I can recall. As a kid, I was the dependable one. I got solid grades, did my chores without complaint, and stayed out of trouble. My younger brother Ryan, on the other hand, was clearly the favored child from early on, and that never changed. He's 2 years my junior, and while I was busy doing everything by the book, he was pampered. Think better holiday presents, more leniency when he messed up, and far less pressure to perform. I care about my brother, don't get me wrong, but it's always been obvious he's my parents' golden child. As adults, not much has shifted. I've held steady jobs since I was old enough to work, starting with lawn care and climbing my way to a project manager role at a tech firm. It's not glamorous, but it's stable, and I've always been smart about saving and managing my expenses. Ryan, however, took a different route. He's always dreamed of being his own boss, which sounds great on paper, but has led to a string of failed businesses. His latest venture, a small gadget repair shop, went under about a year ago, leaving him in a tough spot. Ryan's married to Jenna, a 24-year-old with 2 young kids, Ethan and Sophie. They're adorable, and I've always tried to be the fun uncle whenever possible. But raising kids is costly, and Ryan and Jenna aren't exactly great with finances. I get it, times are tough for everyone, but I couldn't wrap my head around how my parents chose to deal with their situation. For years, I've been renting the basement apartment in my parents' house. It's a sweet setup, my own entrance, a small kitchen, and enough space to live comfortably without feeling like I'm in their way. I pay rent, chip in for groceries, and cover other household costs when needed. Things were fine until Ryan's shop closed about a year ago. At first, he and Jenna tried to manage on their own, moving into a smaller place and cutting back. But it wasn't enough. Knowing their money troubles, I stepped in, buying diapers occasionally and offering to watch the kids when they needed a break. But my help wasn't enough, apparently. Ryan's habit of focusing on the wrong priorities didn't help. Once, I gave them cash for groceries, only to see Jenna showing off a new handbag online the next day. Their priorities were clearly not on essentials. One evening, I came home from work to find my parents waiting in the kitchen. My mom's "we need to talk" face is never a good sign. She started, "Alex, we need to discuss Ryan and Jenna." I knew something big was coming. They didn't waste time telling me Ryan's family was moving into my basement apartment and I'd be relocated to the hobby room. Let me clarify. The hobby room is a cramped, cluttered space on the main floor where my mom stores her sewing supplies, stacks of fabric, and random holiday decorations. It's barely habitable. I was floored. "What? How am I supposed to live in the hobby room?" I asked, baffled. My dad, a man of few words, just said, "It's the only option that works, Alex. They've got kids. They need the space more than you." I tried to stay calm, but it wasn't easy. "I pay rent here," I pointed out. "That's my apartment." My mom's response was predictable. "It's our house, Alex, and as a family, we do what's best for everyone." Their reasoning boiled down to this. Because it's their house, my contributions, rent, expenses, help, didn't seem to matter. Ryan's needs trumped everything. No discussion allowed. I wanted to argue, but it was clear their minds were made up. My mom was already talking about making the hobby room comfy for me, as if a blanket and pillow would magically fix everything. My dad just sat there, uninterested in further debate. The worst part? They didn't even ask for my input. They decided, and I was expected to comply. Things spiraled quickly after they moved Ryan's family into the basement. I tried to stay quiet and cope, but everything reminded me I wasn't a priority in my own family. The move happened fast. One day I had my apartment, the next, I was out. Ryan and Jenna settled in like they owned the place. Toys, baby gear, and kitchen supplies flooded in with a whirlwind of boxes and strollers. Meanwhile, I was left trying to cram my life into the so-called hobby room. Calling it a room is generous. It's more like a glorified closet with barely enough space for a single bed. No windows, no proper door, no privacy. I tried to make it work, but every day felt like I was an afterthought. Ryan and Jenna acted like the house was theirs, and my parents pretended everything was fine, as if I hadn't been shoved into a closet. I'd come home to toys everywhere, a messy kitchen, and no sense of personal space. Often, there was hardly any food left for me. I tried to stay calm and brush off the small stuff, but the frustration built up, affecting my focus and work performance. The next day, I tried talking to my parents. "I understand Ryan and Jenna are struggling," I said, "but this isn't fair. I pay rent, I help out, and now I'm stuck in a storage room while they get the whole basement?" My dad didn't even look up from his phone. "It's temporary," he said. "How temporary?" I asked. "As long as they need," my mom replied, as if that settled it. No negotiation, no acknowledgement of the unfairness. Just a vague promise things might change someday. Worse, Ryan didn't seem grateful for what he'd been given. I felt resentful hearing him and Jenna argue late at night about money, their kids, or whatever else. I gave up my space for them, yet they couldn't even keep it together. One night, I overheard them fighting about Ryan buying Jenna jewelry to lift her spirits, even though they hadn't restocked the kids' formula. It made me question why I was helping at all. One day, I came home to find my nephew Ethan playing in my room, rummaging through my mom's fabric bins and pulling out spools of thread like toys. "Look, Uncle Alex," he said, waving a tangled mess of yarn. "Hey, buddy," I said, trying to stay calm. "This isn't a playroom. Can you head downstairs?" Of course, my mom overheard. "Alex, don't be so harsh," she said, rushing to Ethan's side as if I'd scolded him for existing. "He's just a kid." "I know he's a kid," I said, "but this is my space, or what's left of it." She gave me that look, the one that says I'm being unreasonable, and led Ethan out without another word. It wasn't just the kids, though. Ryan and Jenna seemed to forget I still lived there. Ryan didn't bother restocking groceries, which ran out faster with kids around. I don't blame the kids. They're just kids. But Ryan and Jenna? They should have been beyond grateful. Instead, they treated me like an extra tenant meant to clean up their messes. Weeks later, things got worse. I was working from home, already a challenge in that tiny space, and the noise from downstairs was unbearable. Kids running, Ryan shouting, Jenna talking loudly on the phone. I snapped. I stormed downstairs and said, "Can you please keep it down?" "I'm trying to work." Ryan looked shocked, like I'd asked something outrageous. "We're not doing it on purpose," he said. "What do you expect with 2 kids?" "I expect some respect," I replied. "I gave up my apartment for you. The least you could do is make it possible for me to do my job." My mom jumped in, playing peacemaker. "Alex, don't start a fight. They're doing their best." I couldn't believe it. I was the one displaced, the one bending over backward for everyone, yet I was the problem. That night, I knew I couldn't keep going like this. My parents wouldn't stand up for me, Ryan and Jenna wouldn't change. As long as I stayed, I'd be pushed further into the shadows. The next day, I started looking for a new place. Rent was too high to move out permanently, but I found an affordable motel offering short-term stays. It wasn't luxurious, but it had what I needed. Most importantly, peace. I booked it for a week to clear my head and plan my next steps. That evening, I packed my things and sat my parents down in the living room to tell them. My mom's face twisted in disapproval the moment I mentioned leaving. "Leaving? What do you mean, leaving?" she asked, crossing her arms. "I'm staying somewhere else for a bit," I said, keeping my tone even. "I need space to think things through," my dad snorted. "What's there to think about? Your brother's family needs the basement, and we need you to help with the house. You can't just abandon your duties." "My duties?" I shot back. "My only duty was paying for my own place, and you took that from me without asking. Now you expect me to stay and pay for a house I barely get to live in? Really?" My mom sighed dramatically. "It's not about that, Alex. It's about family. We all make sacrifices sometimes." "Sacrifices?" I said, my voice rising. "I've been sacrificing for years. Rent, groceries, bailing you out when things get tight. And what do I get? A closet and a pat on the back for being a good sport?" My mom's tone changed. "If that's how you feel, maybe it's best you take some time away, but don't stay gone too long. We're counting on you." "Counting on me?" I shouted. "For what? To keep enabling Ryan's bad choices? To keep fixing messes I didn't make? I'm done." Before they could respond, I stormed out, slamming the door. My hands were trembling as I got into my car. The first few days at the motel were a relief. No noisy kids, no dirty dishes, no snide remarks from my mom. I could finally breathe. But the calm didn't last. On the 3rd day, I got a text from my mom. "Alex, where's the rent and grocery money? We're counting on it for Ryan and the kids." I stared at my phone, stunned. I wasn't even living there, and they still expected me to pay. I called her immediately. "Mom, I'm not at the house. Why would I pay rent?" Her response was exactly what I expected. "We're family, Alex. Ryan and Jenna need that space, and they can't afford it alone. You know how tough things are for us." "Tough for you?" I snapped. "You kicked me out of my apartment without asking, and now you want me to keep paying for it? That's ridiculous." She handed the phone to my dad, who didn't hold back. "This is just like you, Alex, always thinking of yourself. Your brother's struggling, and all you do is complain. Show some respect." Before I could respond, I heard Ryan in the background. "Let me talk to him." "Alex," Ryan said, "you don't get it. You don't have kids. You don't know what it's like to have mouths to feed and bills piling up. We're family. You're supposed to help." I lost it. "You're right, Ryan. I don't have kids. But I also don't expect others to solve my problems." You and your family aren't my responsibility. The call ended with my mom crying, my dad calling me selfish, and Ryan muttering I'd regret it. Things went quiet for a few days after that, but it wasn't peaceful. I knew my family wouldn't let it go. A few days later, my mom texted, "Family meeting this Sunday. Everyone will be there. It's important." My mom's family meetings are never discussions. They're ambushes. I knew I was walking into a trap, but part of me hoped I could finally make them hear me. On Sunday, I entered the living room to find not just my parents and Ryan, but aunts, uncles, and cousins. A mini-family reunion with a tense vibe. Everyone sat in a circle, and I felt the judgment hit me the moment I walked in. "Alex, we're here because we're worried about you," my mom said in her concerned parent voice. "Worried about me?" I asked, sitting down. "What exactly are you worried about?" My dad chimed in. "Your attitude lately, Alex. It's not like you. You're acting strange." "Strange?" I repeated. "You mean because I don't want to pay for a house I'm not living in? Because I'm upset you kicked me out of my apartment without asking?" "We're family," my mom said, as if that explained everything. "Family sticks together, and right now Ryan needs our help." Then Ryan spoke up, trying to sound reasonable. "I know this has been tough for you, but you don't understand what it's like to have kids. Ethan keeps asking why you don't come around anymore. Should I tell him his uncle doesn't care?" I felt my blood boil. "Are you serious, Ryan? You're using your kid to guilt me? How about telling him the truth, that I'm tired of being treated like a doormat and a bank?" "Alex," my mom gasped. "That's uncalled for." "Uncalled for?" I shot back. "What's uncalled for is how you've treated me. I've paid rent for years, helped with groceries, bills, whatever you needed. And the one time I ask for respect, I'm the villain? How's that fair?" My aunt jumped in. "Alex, you've always been the responsible one. Your parents rely on you because they know you'll step up. This attitude isn't you." I almost laughed. "Responsible? Sure. But that doesn't mean I'm okay with being the family's punching bag. Responsibility doesn't mean letting everyone walk over me. You all act like I owe Ryan and Jenna just because they have kids. Where were you when I needed help?" "Oh, right. Telling me to step up." The room went quiet for a moment. Then my dad spoke. "This isn't about the past, Alex. It's about now. Your brother's struggling and we're trying to keep the family together. Why can't you see that?" "Because no one asked me," I said, my voice rising. "You didn't say, 'Hey, Alex, we're in a bind. Can we work something out?' You just decided my life matters less than Ryan's. You gave me no choice." My mom started crying, her usual tactic when things didn't go her way. "I don't understand how you can be so heartless," she said. "We raised you better." "You raised me to put everyone else first," I replied. "And look where that got me. Living in a closet while Ryan and Jenna take my space, use my groceries, and expect me to keep paying. How's that fair?" Ryan tried to speak, but I cut him off. "Ryan, let me ask you, when your shop was doing well, did you ever help Mom and Dad with bills, groceries, anything?" He looked uncomfortable. "That's different," he mumbled. "Different," I said. "I've lost count of how many times I've bailed you out, only for you to spend it on nonsense, like when I gave you grocery money and Jenna showed up with a new designer bag. Or when you were behind on rent but still bought her a spa gift card. Do you know how insulting that is?" Ryan's face flushed, but he had no answer. "I'm done," I said. "I'm not paying another cent for that house. If you need money, figure it out like an adult." My mom sobbed harder, and my dad glared like I'd betrayed the family. "You're tearing us apart," she cried. "No," I said, standing. "You did that when you decided Ryan matters more than me." I walked out without another word. As I got to my car, my phone buzzed with texts from cousins and aunts calling me selfish and immature. I didn't bother reading them. After that family meeting, I decided to keep my distance. I didn't block anyone but stopped answering calls and texts. I needed space to think without constant guilt trips. At first, it worked. I felt lighter, like I could focus on myself for once. But then my mom crossed a line. She called my workplace. My manager approached me during a break, looking awkward. "Hey, Alex, we got a call from someone saying they're your mom. She said you're dealing with family issues and might need time off." I was stunned. "What? I didn't ask for time off. Why did she call?" "I figured as much," my manager said, trying to be kind. "But she left a detailed message about your brother and some housing issues." I was mortified. My personal life, which I'd worked hard to keep separate from work, was now exposed because of my mom. That night, I called her. "What were you thinking, Mom?" I demanded. "Why would you call my boss?" "I was worried," she said defensively. "You're not answering us, and I thought you might need help." "So you thought calling my workplace was the solution?" I shouted. Do you know how unprofessional that makes me look? I didn't mean to embarrass you, she said, her voice faltering. I just wanted them to know what you're going through. What I'm going through is because of you, I said. You pushed me out of my home, ignored me at the family meeting, and now you're meddling in my job. Enough is enough. Stay out of my work life. She didn't take it well, crying and passing the phone to my dad, who called me selfish and ungrateful. Your mom was trying to help, he said. You don't need to treat her like this. I wouldn't have to if she hadn't crossed a line, I replied. This isn't okay, Dad. None of it is. It didn't stop there. The next day, I started getting messages from extended family, cousins, aunts, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. Ryan had taken to social media, airing our family drama. He didn't name me, but his posts were clearly about me. Real family steps up when it counts. Some people only care about themselves, even when their own blood is struggling. The comments were full of pity for Ryan. Stay strong, one said. You don't need toxic people in your life, another added. Toxic, that's what I was, apparently. I tried to ignore it, but the more I read, the angrier I got. Ryan was playing the victim, making me the bad guy, and no one bothered to ask my side. I considered posting my own version, but decided against it. It would just fuel the drama. Instead, I called Ryan. What's wrong with you? I asked. You're trashing me online, and for what? Because I won't bankroll your life anymore? I didn't name you, he said defensively. If people think it's you, that's not my fault. Cut it out, Ryan, I said. You know what you're doing. If you've got a problem, say it to my face, not on social media. Don't I get to vent? He snapped. You've left us high and dry, Alex. We're family and you just walked away. I walked away because you, Mom, and Dad forced me out, I said, my voice rising. You don't get to guilt me into fixing your messes. You're an adult. Act like it. The call ended with him hanging up, and I knew any chance of salvaging our relationship was gone. But Ryan kept escalating. One day I came home to find him sitting on the steps outside my new place, his car parked nearby. What are you doing here, Ryan? I asked, trying to stay calm. I needed to see you, he said, standing. I can't believe we're here. You're really just cutting us all off. You think you're better than us? I sighed, exhausted by the conversation I knew was coming. Ryan, I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm setting boundaries. I can't keep sacrificing my life while you and Mom treat me like I don't matter. Like you don't matter? He shouted. I'm going through hell, Alex. I lost my business. I've got 2 kids to feed, and Mom and Dad are barely scraping by. And you're acting like the victim because we need help? It's not just help, I yelled. You took my home without asking, and now you're shaming me for not sticking around to deal with it. I've been helping this family for years. Where were you when Mom and Dad needed money for the mortgage? Or when I worked extra hours to cover groceries? He shook his head, frustrated. You don't get it, Alex. You've always had it easy. No kids, no real responsibilities. Don't, I cut him off. I've carried this family for years while you spent money on nonsense. And now you want me to feel bad because I said enough? I'm done. Ryan's face twisted with anger. You're making me the bad guy, but I'm the one struggling, trying to keep my family together. You're just sitting here in your perfect little life, acting like you're too good to help. I stared at him, holding back my fury. You don't get to do this, Ryan. You can't guilt me just because I worked hard and made better choices. This isn't about not caring. It's about caring about myself for once. He looked like he wanted to hit me for a moment, then shook his head. You've changed, Alex. You're not who I thought you were. Maybe I've just stopped being someone you can walk all over, I said. He didn't respond, just turned and stormed back to his car, slamming the door. That night, I sat in my apartment, replaying the fight, knowing I couldn't keep doing this. It wasn't just about the apartment or the rent. It was the constant disrespect and entitlement. I texted my parents, I love you, but I can't live like this. I'm done paying for rent or groceries. I need space from the family. Please respect that and don't contact me unless it's urgent. I sent it and blocked their numbers. It wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. Predictably, cousins, aunts, and uncles flooded me with texts, calling me selfish and accusing me of abandoning my family. Ryan was the loudest, spreading lies that I was hoarding money, living lavishly, and leaving him and my parents in ruin. He even tried calling my boss to paint me as untrustworthy, but thankfully my manager saw through it and shut it down. Months later, Ryan's bitterness backfired. His obsession with blaming me alienated even our extended family, who started pulling away. His financial irresponsibility hit a new low, and I heard he and Jenna were evicted from their new place when my parents couldn't cover the mortgage. Jenna, fed up with Ryan's behavior and their constant struggles, took the kids